Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speak, Film, and Enter, a podcast where we review and rank movies. I'm Nate.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm Adam.
Today, we've got a really fun episode. It is finally time for our top 5 movies of the first half of 2022, or maybe a better thing to call it would just be of 2022 so far.
Yeah.
Because we are a little bit past the midway point of the year, but let's
explain one more time.
To do this in August for two reasons, really. One, we kind of feel like new movies this year, in any given year, generally don't start coming out. Like anticipated movies don't really start coming out until March, and then summer blockbusters are kind of a thing in themselves. And we feel like if we do it at the end of June or like first week of July or something, we're kind of cutting the summer blockbusters in half. Yeah. And we're still not really getting maybe necessarily half of the movies from this year. Also, because once you hit September, October, like the last 4 months is when all the big awards contenders tend to come out. And August is usually a little dead. So we feel like as far as the movie year goes, even though this is the middle of month 8, we kind of feel like it reaches the midpoint, at least as far as we think as the movie calendar goes.
Yeah, in the movie year.
Right. And then the second reason, which is kind of what started this all in the first place, is that we started doing the podcast in August of 2019 and just going to review new movies going forward. And one of our first episodes was the top 5 movies of 2019 so far. Yes. Because we hadn't done any episodes yet. We couldn't do that in June or July because the show didn't exist. So just kind of became a tradition for us to do it. And then, 2020 happened and nothing really came out. For a really long time. And it felt like there weren't even enough movies to do a halfway through the year episode at the end of June in 2020. And then it had been 2 years in a row. And we've just kind of kept it going as sort of a mid-August tradition as we take, a little bit of a break from new movies before the big push in the final 4 months where it feels like something's like 1 to 3 movies are coming out every weekend.
Yeah. And a lot of the big award contenders tend to come out December, January.
And, we usually, I feel like 2 or 3 movies for me usually stay in my top 10 from the first half. This is only a top 5, but I usually feel like I have 2 or 3 that hang on from this episode that make it into our top 10 of the full year episode that we usually get to in January.
Yeah, and if we only did the full year one, I feel like being removed in time from the movies we watched in May and June is going to kind of work against them. So this is a way for us to at least, give these movies their due respect, and then also interesting just to see which ones can hang on, like you said, to those spots. So yeah, I like doing it in the late August or mid to late August. I think it makes sense.
So with that out of the way, should we dive right in? Who wants to go first?
Let's dive right in. I can go first because I have a hell of a 5 pick for you guys.
Hey.
Okay. I think I know. I have a feeling
you
I know
absolutely
what this is going to be now.
We're gonna derail this entire episode with my number 5 pick.
Okay.
My number 5 is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
We had just talked about this. I finally saw it. You guys saw it back when it came out, and I literally watched it last night. And I know where you guys stand on it. Which is just, it's all right. It's not the end all be all greatest movie of the year. Obviously I have it at number 5. I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. I understand the qualms you guys have with it. I actually went through and read Nate's this is
your number 5. You can just use this time to talk about why you liked it, because we haven't even talked to you about this yet.
Okay. Well, then we'll save that for off air.
Yeah.
Okay. So I loved the themes. I loved the existentialism in it. I love the nihilism, the different perspectives on generations, the different perspectives on what the kid is going through, but essentially could be like the millennial experience. What the mom's going through, what the dad's going through, all of those dynamics I thought were fantastic. I did read some of the not reviews, the trivia, and all of the visual effects in the movie were done by 9 people who were not trained visual effects artists. They all taught themselves through tutorials, and that was it, and including the director. I thought it was funny that the director of Death of Dick Long is one of the directors of this movie, and he very much had an influence on it. He's in it for a little bit. He's the weird guy who does all the BDSM stuff.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's him. I love that the guy who played Data in The Goonies and Short Round in Indiana Jones is like our main, he's the father figure. Hasn't done a movie in 20 years. Loved seeing him come out. I thought the performances were great. I thought the acting was good, or the actors themselves, like the people who they got. It was rumored that Awkwafina was supposed to be in the role for the daughter, and I don't think that would have worked as well as it did. The style of this movie, it's batshit insane. The action I thought was good and well done and well shot. The music was fantastic. There were some parts that lost me. There was a lot of hot dog fingers that I really just done without. I didn't need the hot dogs in mouths and that sort of thing. And some of that got a little played out. And to your credit, it did get a little long, but that's why it's not a 5, right? I thought it was good, not great, right?
Okay.
And I also just saw it, so I have to sit with it a little bit longer to really give a true score, because I think I'm waffling somewhere between like a 3.5 and a 4.5, because I can't tell if I super like it, or I can't tell if I was like, oh, okay.
There's a lot going on, and you're gonna need to sit with it for a little while.
Exactly. So I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was also like midnight when I started it, so I was tired and was just like, here we go. Like it's going to be an experience. So I'm glad you liked it. I thought you would. I mean, really, without getting into, we did a whole episode on this, which I'd kind of like to almost do again, because I've been able to better pinpoint why, like what bothered me. But to just really basic, some things with the ending bothered me. But I don't disagree with basically all of what you said. It's a very well-made movie. I just didn't like the ending. So that's really it. But I'm glad one of us at least.
Yeah, I mean, me and Nate are definitely in the minority. And I think you said you think it's good, not great. But I feel like maybe if you're giving it 4 stars, you think it's great, not perfect, or like great but not a masterpiece,
like really good, just not like holy shit level.
That's better. That's better. I mean, I was during it, I was like, holy shit, this is bonkers. This is just an absolute bananas movie. But like, it doesn't quite rise to like masterpiece level. I would agree.
Sure.
And just before we move on, I mean, as someone who liked it more than me and Nate did, I mean, can you at least agree that the jokes do get run into the ground?
Oh, they absolutely. Well, they go through like 5 universes basically, and then they only stay with those 5 universes. So you get the same stuff going on, which I get. You have to build part of the story of each of the characters, like links to that. But I think the biggest one is like hot dog fingers. Like I get it. Like let's move forward. Like right. But that's also like because I didn't like Death of Dick Long as much as you guys did. And I feel like that had some of the same issues where like it ran some certain stuff into the ground, or it got like weird just for the sake of being weird. And it was like, okay, like I don't really care about that. Like it felt like part of it felt like a Rick and Morty episode. And I was like, great, but like we've seen this. Right.
Right. I think, well, I know it's shorter for sure. Yeah. I mean, I would counter with Death of Dick Long is 1 hour and 40 minutes. Yeah. And but either way, I'm seriously very happy that you liked it. I'm glad somebody on this podcast liked this movie and felt what most people seem to be feeling, because that just it eluded myself and Dylan.
It would have been too controversial for none of us to have it on our top 5. So I'm glad that you do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, nice. I'm glad you liked it.
I can go next.
All right, go for it.
So number 5 for me is, I think maybe for me, the most fun movie of the year, and that is The Outfit.
Okay.
Starring Mark Rylance, and this is, he's not a tailor in 50 Chicago, and he lets the mob use his office for kind of drops and exchanges, and then he gets caught up in like kind of one crazy evening where they stash something there and everybody's kind of after it, and the whole thing takes place in his shop.
Yep.
And he just kind of gets caught up in the middle of this organized crime web and trying to sort of sneak his way out of it potentially and just survive the night. And I think this movie is an absolute blast. I saw it twice in theaters, which I can only say about a few movies so far this year.
Nice.
And yeah, Mark Rylance is just one of my favorite actors in the world.
Agreed.
He just owns this movie.
Yeah.
And just, it's a blast. It kind of it doesn't quite reach the levels of like Knives Out or Clue for me, but it
Mhm.
has that same feel of this kind of like one location, kind of crazy crime stuff going on, some humor injected into it to kind of keep it a little
Mhm.
lighter. And I just love this movie. So that's my number 5.
Nice. Yeah, we did also review that one, so you guys can go back and look at it. But I liked it too, and I feel like it's the type of movie that really lends itself well to like actors and kind of letting them
Yeah.
really kind of just immerse themselves like in their characters. Because like you said, it all takes place in one night, in one shop. They're kind of coming and going, but I just felt like everybody was like really just like going for it, and it worked well for like character development stuff. So that's a good choice. Definitely an honorable mention for me.
Yeah, same.
All right, my number 5 is Cha Cha Real Smooth.
Nice.
The Amazon film,
Apple.
or it was Apple. Yes, haha. Of course, I can't get those two mixed up. We'll get sued. The Apple film from writer and director and star Cooper Raiff, and so that. I love when someone can pull off the trifecta. So that's part of the reason why it just edged out the Batman for my number 5 spot. It was between those two, very different. But I really, when I first saw it and when we first reviewed it, I really liked it. I thought the characters were great. I thought that Cooper Raiff killed it. I felt like it was very kind of, I could relate to a lot of what was going on. I also mentioned I love like the opening scene. And so I gave it a 4.5 when I first saw it. With a little time away from it, I've brought that down to a very strong 4, which is still totally fine. I still think it's really great. And I would totally be willing to watch it again. But it's just, it's well written. It's funny. At least I thought almost a lot of the humor worked. Some of the characters kind of come out of their shells. It also features a very good performance by Dakota Johnson and, lest we forget, Vanessa Berghardt as Lola, her autistic daughter who has autism herself, and she was great. I just thought, sweet, heartfelt little movie. I had fun with it. So, that's my number 5, Cha Cha Real Smooth.
Nice.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to see that, so I'm going to be watching that this weekend.
Yeah, Adam, I think you'll love it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a good pick. On to me for number 4. You briefly just mentioned it, Dylan, but my number 4 is The Batman.
Nice.
The hype around this movie was big. The movie itself lived up to that. Seeing Robert Pattinson own the role. I mean, he's been good in everything, right? Like we love him on this podcast, but
yeah, he's in his moment right now.
He's in the moment, and then having oh my god, I'm gonna forget his name, even though I have the freaking
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano as the Riddler was fantastic.
The cast.
Jeffrey Wright, Colin Farrell, John Turturro, like Peter Skarsgård.
Not Jeffrey Wright was in this movie.
Barry Keoghan, like pick a person. I thought it was pulled off fantastic. I love the styling, the art styling of not only like his costume, but the Batmobile and what Gotham now looks like, and all that. Like
what they did with Gotham.
The aesthetic was so crisp as far as like nailing what it was. And I know we talked about this when we reviewed this movie, but like how awkward it was to be Batman, like at the beginning stages of trying to be Batman. You walk in and you're just a dude, and the cops are like, who the hell is this random guy dressed up as in a costume?
And
I like done very well.
I like that he was kind of a shy, kind of sad boy, kind of lonely. Yeah. Like that's, with his backstory, it makes more sense that he would turn into that than like a super charismatic playboy who loves the spotlight.
Playboy billionaire. And like maybe I don't know. We can evolve to that point maybe in this universe, but like he definitely shouldn't have started out as like Playboy billionaire, right? So I think they did the character justice.
Like I just mentioned, I have this as my number 6, and the only thing is, I've seen it twice. I saw it in theaters, and then I saw it again just at my house, and I think it didn't quite hit me as much. I didn't like it as much the second time as the first time. It might have just been because it was a really fun theater experience, and this is a kind of a very big movie, and the shots of Gotham and the action. But I still liked it. It's still a 4 out of 5, and then also just we mentioned this in our review, but the last like 20 minutes when it kind of it feels the need to kind of be more of a traditional superhero kind of big climactic action ending. Just kind of felt out of pace because the whole rest of the movie is like a slow burn, hard boiled kind of almost detective story that just happens to take place in Gotham. And then I just felt it like at the end, they couldn't resist. They were like, well, there has to be like some big thing at the end, which is totally fair. Cause I think if they had just ended it with the Riddler, you know, if they had ended it 20 minutes shorter, I think there would have been a lot of fans who would have thought
The Batman diehards would have been furious.
If it too
this
boring.
would have been getting like Last Jedi reactions.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a solid pick for number 4.
I've only seen it the one time. I only saw it in theaters, so I haven't rewatched it yet. So that might change my opinion of it. But I do specifically remember like the car chase scenes being phenomenal. Yeah. So I might just really dig the action, and that's also helping it out. But yeah, number 4, the Batman for me.
Number 4 for me is The Fallout, which came out a long time ago, dropped on HBO Max in January.
Okay.
So kind of just sneaking it in here. I think it came out like after, I can't remember. It was kind of that in-between time, but I'm throwing it here.
When I was making my list, I wasn't sure if it would be, if we were counting it as 2022, because didn't we review it in the last season?
Well, it came out before the Oscars.
Okay. Yeah.
But
so I didn't
it was also like, it was never in theaters in 2021.
Yeah.
It just went straight to streaming in January 2022. So that's why I kind of felt like I can kind of, it's sort of a gray area. So I'm including it because the movie's amazing. If you don't know about the movie, The Fallout, it stars Jenna Ortega, who is having a year, by the way. Her new show from Tim Burton called Wednesday, where she will be playing Wednesday Addams on Netflix. The trailer just released for that. She starred in The Fallout. She was in X, the horror movie from Ty West and A24. I feel like she was in something else too. She was in Scream 5.
There's something else called American Carnage and Studio 666 and Big City Greens, which is another show that's still going on in 2022.
But anyway,
and Scream. So 5
she
projects.
Plays a high school student who is there's a shooting at her school and a lot of kids die, and she experiences it in the bathroom with 2 other students. And then the rest of the movie, that's like a few minutes in, and then the rest of the movie is just following those 3 students in the aftermath and the PTSD and trying to get back to normal and just not feeling right. And it's just a wonderful movie, brilliantly acted, and a lot of really smart decisions by first-time director, I want to say Megan Park.
I have it up.
Yes,
it is
Megan Park.
That's right.
Nailed it. It's fantastic, and sitting on HBO Max right now. I think it's one of the best high school movies I've seen in a really long time. I would highly recommend this to basically everybody. I think this movie has a very wide appeal. Unfortunately, that something like this even needs to get made, but for the subject matter that it tackles, it does a really good job with it.
All right.
Agreed. Yeah. A lot of great scenes. All right. My number 4 is switching gears from a serious, well-written movie, straight to just absolute fun, start to finish, crazy, balls to the wall action. And that is RRR, the movie that dropped on Netflix. That is not Bollywood. It's I can't remember.
Hollywood.
Hollywood. Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, RRR. In case you haven't heard of it, we did review it. So you can go back and read that. But basically, it's a fictitious story about 2 legendary revolutionaries and their journey away from home before they started fighting for their country in the 1920s. Basically, it's like they took 2 famous revolutionary figures from the history of India and made it into like an all-time great bromance. I mean, these guys are they're both badasses. And when I say that, I do not mean in a light way or in a nuanced way. They are capital BAADASS badasses. And then you get to see them do incredible things with really memorable scenes. Like I remember watching it with Nate and just like geeking out at just like, oh my God, like it was just so entertaining. It's just like the definition of the word, just entertaining. But you get to see both of them, and then when they finally meet each other and they just like instantly become like bros, it's just oh my God, so good. It just brings a smile to my face every time. The first half is stronger than the second half, but like the first half includes, I think we talked about it on a review, but at least like 2 or 3 just like, I don't know, definitely best of the year, like action sequences.
Okay.
Like really raising the bar.
Possibly the best musical sequence of the year.
Okay.
Yes, still, I could still probably stand by that. This movie knows exactly what it's trying to do. It has the same like fun feel and tone, and it just goes 100 miles an hour the whole time. It's just a blast, and so for that alone, I had to have it in the top 5. So that's my number 4 of the year. RRR.
Nice.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, Adam, you would love this
Yes.
movie.
See, my only thing that's stopping me from watching is it's 3 hours long. It's
Oh, but it flies
there's an
by.
intermission. It flies.
Okay.
There's also an intermission
Yeah.
okay.
at like the 90-minute mark, so you can pause and just pick up the rest of it later if you need to. But it does fly.
Is it,
I mean,
is
get
it
some.
subtitled?
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, get some popcorn or like some wings and a 6-pack.
There's also
and
a
just
decent
you're gonna
amount of
have such a
English
good
in the
time.
movie too, though.
Okay.
Huh? Oh
There's
yeah,
a decent amount of English in the movie too, because they're fighting the
British
English
colonial.
colonizers.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Excellent. I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
I'm
Also,
on
one of
the
the
IMDb
one
page
of
right
the
now, and
one of the
video
villains in
trailer.
this movie played Ilsa in The Last Crusade.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, we
Mhm.
need an older white woman to be to be the devil, basically. So I'm good with
Yeah.
that. That's
No.
good. That's
Yeah,
solid.
The lines between good and evil are pretty clearly drawn.
Oh, there's no gray
There's
in this
no-
movie.
Yeah.
They're good guys and bad guys, and it's
As it
very
should
clear
be.
who they are.
As it
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah. All right.
Great pick. I will have to. The last couple you guys have had, I still haven't got like Cha Cha Real Smooth, RRR, and I just got to get to some of these. So and the Fallout. So, all right, back to me for number 3. This is going to be maybe a little, probably low considering on this list for you guys. But I only saw it this afternoon, so I haven't had much time to sit with it. But it is a short one. This is Petite Maman.
Yes.
I wasn't sure I was going to include it because I was like, all right, it's really close. Like I just watched it, but like it's a very, very powerful movie. I mean, it's Celine Sciamma's next. It's kind of a departure from what she's normally known for, as far as diving into like some of it's the sexual relationships of women, or like their relationships with their friends, or that sort of stuff. And
Yeah, I
this is
mean,
more-
Portrait of a Lady on Fire
Yeah.
has a lot of kind of heavier adult themes, and this is
Girlhood
literally
as well
a kid's
is
movie.
very different.
Yeah,
from
this is
Petite
very
Maman.
different, but it's
But she did write the script for My Life as a Zucchini as well. So
yeah. So it's
That's a little closer
she's
to this.
multifaceted. I just love
Absolutely.
the character study of, or the study of the interaction of the mother and child, and like what you would do if you were able to meet your parents as kids, and just that whole thought experiment. I love that it didn't talk to you about it. Didn't need to give you like ground rules. It was like, here's what's happening. We're going. Like, I don't fucking care about what you might think the rules of this universe are. Here's what we're doing. And I love that. I think more movies could take a note from this and just like stop explaining shit to me. Just make it work. So I know it's probably going to come up later, so we'll gush about it a little bit more, but I had to put it on here. It's a tight 70 minutes basically, and it's very accessible. Anybody can watch this. Anybody can get what you want out of it, or get what it's trying to tell you out of it, without too much, not dialogue heavy. It's just a fantastic movie. So
yeah, totally agree.
All right, nice.
Number 3 for me
Mm-hmm.
is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Yeah,
Had to have little Marcel in my top 5. This movie is just
for sure.
adorable and sweet and funny, and a big warm hug for the soul, basically. And I love this. I mean, we had a glowing review of this movie, which we'll link here as well. I'll put links for all of these reviews that we've had in this video, but yeah, it's sweet, it's funny, it's very timely.
yeah,
It's somehow like a really smart COVID movie, as well as just being this kind of funny, cute thing about a little shell that has a funny voice. It's just a fantastic movie. Everybody should go see it.
Yep, absolutely. We check out our review of it for more explanation of why. But yes, everyone should check this out. Very
Highly
broad
recommend.
appeal. I mean, come on, how can you not like Marcel?
Yeah.
All right, nice. On to my number 3. I'm going big again, and that is the biggest of the big, Top Gun Maverick.
Okay.
all right,
Movie
number
that
3.
single-handedly saved the movie industry, saved theaters, brought millions of Americans back to remember the joy of
brink.
cinema. I mean, honestly, that is actually, I had it lower in the rankings, but that reason alone, actually, I had to bring it up to number 3 just because of like the cultural impact it had of just like actually having a movie that everybody is going to see and that everybody pretty much agrees is at least entertaining, if not like one of their favorite movies of the year. Yeah, I had a really great time seeing this. A great theater experience. The action sequences are top notch. It's a little bit thin on some of the, setup with the characters, or just a lot of like, it's almost the exact same, story, just kind of retold in a slightly different way. But I think it was told in a better way. I think we all agreed, or I certainly think that it's much better than the original. I think it's
Very
just a
much
tighter script. The characters are better. And then, I mean, just the action is still just incredible. All the flight sequences are incredible. They're so much fun. And, you just got to hand it to Tom Cruise. He is a professional entertainer when it comes to Hollywood. He knows he knows what to do and how to put it on screen in a way that you're going to love it. And he was very justified in holding on to this movie and refusing to release it during the COVID times to streaming, insisting that it had to be a theater release once everything was somewhat back to normal so that people could go see it. He was 1,000% right. This needed to be seen in theaters. And I'm actually kind of I'll be intrigued to see when it does drop on streaming or whatever. I'll give it a rewatch, and I'm going to be interested to see if I still get that same feel, because it's just like this movie is like tailor made for the big screen. Yeah. And so I'm not sure if that'll translate on the small screen, but either way, just really well done. Awesome blockbuster. And just for bringing everybody back to the theaters, I had to give it props. So that's my number 3 of the year, Top Gun Maverick.
Nice. Going into my number 2, I'm echoing all of the same sentiments, because my number 2 is Top Gun Maverick. I almost had this as
lead right into each other,
right?
Like that.
Yes.
Like, I almost had this as number 1 just for the fact that, like what you were saying, this is the movie. This is the big movie of the year that everyone went to go see. It made $1 billion. So Tom Cruise was like, "Listen, I know it's good. We're keeping it on the back burner until we can release it, and the world will go see it." I've made over $1 billion. The action's fantastic. Tom Cruise is good. The story you just said is a lot stronger than the first one. Even if you go back and watch the first one, like we did before we reviewed Maverick, the opening sequence with just watching planes launch off an aircraft carrier to danger zone will always just be like, it just fucking let's go. Like, it's just a perfect like energy scene, and that's what this one is. So like, whether it gets to the small screen in your living room and you feel that, I think it still will come through as like, this is an absolute badass of a movie. Like I said, it almost stole the number 1 spot because of its cultural relevance and because of its its staying power. It was in theaters for quite a while, because people just couldn't get it. People just can't get enough of it.
Right? And I bet a lot of people would have this as their number 1 movie of the year so far, like with a bullet. Like if you just asked, your average kind of movie fan, or maybe someone who doesn't seem very I mean, even like my parents, hey,
would you see this you really like?
Like, oh, what's that? Like, Top Gun Maverick, pretty much universally loved, and everyone had a good time.
It wasn't a Marvel movie that's sitting at the blockbuster status in the summer. Like it is, I wouldn't say it's like an original IP, because it came out 20 years ago as well. But like it's a sequel, but I'm just so happy we're not going back to being like, oh well, another similarly action-packed like Marvel movie is right up here.
We had 2 action movies this year that just put Marvel to shame, with Top Gun Maverick and RRR. Who both do things that Marvel, at least in the past few years, has not been able to achieve at all. So really cool to get a couple original great action movies this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I think none of us have any Marvel movies in our top 5 of the year so far.
Fuck no.
Getting a little stale. Getting a little... Sure.
Although that Wakanda Forever trailer is incredible, and I really hope the movie lives up to that.
Oh, man. Yeah, a lot lot of pressure.
For sure.
Lot of pressure for that movie to be amazing.
They've kind of boxed themselves in a little bit.
Unless they just knock it out of the park.
We'll see.
All right. On to Nate for his number 2.
My number 2 is Petite Maman. This movie, I mean, very much like Marcel, the Shell with Shoes On, it's just so sweet and kind. And there's a scene in the movie. It's also just filmed beautifully, like the settings and the like the outdoor settings, and then like the house I really like. But the way it's filmed, like there's just a scene in the movie where the daughter is like feeding her mom from the back seat.
Yeah.
And it's just filmed from the passenger seat, and the camera never moves, and you just see her hand come forward with like a cracker, and then another cracker, and then like a juice box a little bit, and she's just holding everything for her, and it's so sweet. And then like the big moment in this movie is like making pancakes in the kitchen, and like they don't really know what they're doing, and it's just so heartwarming.
Mm-hmm.
I love this movie. This is definitely something I need to watch again, but really, really glad that I saw it. And I'm just at this point a huge Celine Sciamma fan.
Yeah, big shout out to the twin girls that play the lead characters. Like fantastically done. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, I did not like it as much as you guys, but I really liked the scenes. My favorite parts were with the kids, especially when they go out on like is it a canoe or a
a little
like I love like all of a sudden like because the movie's kind of very quiet, but then like for that scene they bring in like an awesome song, and it's just like them two going on this like adventure, and I liked when they were kind of pretending to like act out like a scene, and like I just liked when the two kids were, all those scenes felt very much like really accurate, like two little kids just having fun and like letting their imaginations and just like enjoying each other's company. I also really liked how like they highlight like the journey, because they go out on this like boat to go to this, is it like an island or is it's some sort of thing
something
that
like
a temple island thing,
the temple island thing. And so they like go out there, so you have this whole long like kind of montage beautiful scene of them having fun. They're on this adventure to go out to this thing, and then you just have like 5 seconds of them just like sitting there just kind of like staring like, oh, we're here now, but like I don't know. And then it cuts to them and they're back home. And I just love how that's like, like the fun part is like the journey, especially when you're that age, right? The fun part is like going on a trip with your friend. And then when you get there, you're like, oh, what do we do out here? I don't know. Well, I guess we'll go back home.
It does such a great job of like showing childhood and like what that's like, and what like the time that you lose, because like days stretch forever when you're a kid. Right.
Yeah.
And it does such a good job of showing that. And then all of a sudden you fast forward to something else and you're just in something else. But like that takes a while. Or there's a scene when she's like, she's going to bed and she's like, I just want to fast forward to tomorrow. And like as they turn out the light, like it clicks and all of a sudden it's daytime and you're back in the woods. And it's just like an instant, like we don't care about any of the rest of that stuff, but I want to fast forward to the good stuff, and like remembering to cherish the moments that you have in your not just childhood, but in your life, and recognizing when those are important. It's just a beautiful film.
Yeah, totally agreed.
And at this point, Celine Sciamma is definitely like, I mean, just it looks beautiful, great colors and cinematography and space, and just how she sets up her camera work and the angles and everything. Like, a lot of really great, like stunningly beautiful shots where you're like, oh my god. Okay, nice. On to me then.
Yep.
All right. My number 2 has already been mentioned, and that is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. We all loved this when we reviewed it. For everything that you said, it's just so sweet and funny and heartfelt, and also just like unique and very different from any movie that's come out this year. And like any big screen movie I've seen in a long time. It just really, the scale of everything, and it just, I don't know, it just visually, it just gives you a perspective, not only like being that small, but also like the way that Marcel looks at the world. It's a fascinating, sweet, funny movie. And I think that pretty much anybody could give this a chance and find something to like about it, no matter how jaded you might be. It's just so
no
nice
matter how much life has beat you down, this is a movie that you're just going to end up smiling at and going, damn it, they won me over.
I know, right? If this little 2-inch tall shell can, see the good in life, so can you.
Yes.
So that's my number 2 for Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
All right, we made it all the way to our
shoes.
Right.
With
it all the way to our number 1s.
All right, we made it.
My number 1 should be pretty obvious. It was the only 5 we gave out this year. Yep. It is, again, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Nice.
That's 2 smooth transitions.
I know. Great minds think alike.
We're killing it. We're on the same wavelength, at least with a couple movies.
The movie itself is about love. And I was going to connect this earlier to Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's really what that movie's about as well. It's about family. They're both about family. They're both about the relationships that you build and you have with your family, and why those are important and how those are important. Marcel is profound as he is funny. It's always about the interpersonal relationships within your core group, within your family, and why love is important and what makes you love and how you react to that. It's adorable. They're both good. Marcel it whisked me away. It's creative. There's just not, I can't gush enough. So just go see it. Just like when I gushed about Portrait of a Lady on Fire and stuff like that. Just go see it. Love it for yourself. Draw your own conclusions. All I can tell you is please go see this movie, and I can talk to you in person about it because I just love it so much. So that's my number one.
Definitely. And I would also say too, some of the movies we mentioned like are big screen experiences. And I definitely am glad that I went and saw this on the big screen. But I feel like Marcel is a movie that you could watch on your laptop or like on a small, like it doesn't need the big screen to get what it's trying to do and for you to enjoy it. It's cozy. Yeah. So however you can see it, go see it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Nice.
All right. On to me, and I thought I had to stay on brand. My number one movie is a foreign movie that nobody else has seen. Actually, Adam saw this.
I saw this one.
You did?
Yes.
I almost watched it last night. I had to choose.
And so my number one movie so far of 2022 is an Iranian movie called Hit the Road.
God dang, Nate. You're so hip and intellectual. Fuck. And worldly.
Told you I had to represent the international side.
Can't keep up. Yeah. We can't keep up.
This is actually, so Nate, we saw this at the Minneapolis Film Festival. It's the only movie I saw at the Minneapolis Film Festival. Nate saw a bunch of other ones. I wasn't able to get to anything else.
Okay.
I liked this. I didn't like it as much as Nate did, but it's a profound experience, if I can say that before Nate.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm guessing a lot of listeners or viewers have not heard of this movie because it's a indie movie from Iran that hasn't even come out in theaters in the US yet. So
yeah, that's a lot working against it.
Right.
Yeah, it's not streaming anywhere, you know.
Yeah. So this is a chaotic family is on a road trip across a rugged landscape. In the back seat, dad has a broken leg. Mom tries to laugh when she's not holding back tears, and the youngest keeps exploding into car karaoke. Only the older brother is quiet. So this is a 93-minute road trip movie where you meet the family. The road trip has already begun, but it's in its early stages.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of ditching their phones. And so the oldest brother is like 20, 22. The youngest brother is 6. I want to say
somewhere in there. Yeah, he's really young.
They have not told him why they're going where they're going, and the audience doesn't know where they're going at the beginning or why they're going there either. So we're kind of in the dark along with the 6-year-old. He like snuck a phone on the trip so we can like call the girls that he likes. He's very precocious and can be a little annoying at times. But slowly they sort of reveal where they're going, or not where they're going specifically, but
like what
they're trying to get the oldest son out of the country. And they don't tell you why.
Okay.
But they need to get him out of the country. And it's like this, like you said, Adam, this movie's profound. It's filmed incredibly well. Like it does things with the cinematography I've never seen before. It's really funny. It's a sweet family story with this like black cloud hanging over it.
Mm-hmm.
And the acting, especially from the two parents, the mom and the dad, is phenomenal.
Very good.
There's a stargazing scene with the dad and the youngest son, which is just like mind-blowingly cool. Like if you saw that on drugs, you would just lose your shit.
Okay.
It just like the scene itself feels like they were doing something, and the whole movie is like very grounded in this like really terrible experience that they have to go through, and then there's just this nice light like explanation of the stars and this like animation that's going on, and it's just a nice like quiet moment, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and like the climactic moment is shot like way pulled back at a distance.
Yeah.
So you're far enough away where you can't really see anybody's face, but you can see them all there. And it's kind of this like sort of maybe handoff or something, but like
interesting.
But and they don't, like and they still don't want the 6-year-old knowing what's going on. So like they tie him to a tree.
Yeah.
And he's like screaming to be let go. It's it's like this really comical thing where he's shouting like, "Let me go."
Yeah. As a
like
6-year-old
really loudly,
kid would, like,
but you're so far back. So you can't really see their faces that clearly or their expressions, but you can just hear them. And people are like moving back and forth really chaotically. There's like sad stuff and exciting stuff and funny stuff happening like all at the same time. And like some scary stuff. And this movie is just spectacular. It is available to rent right now, just like on Prime or Vudu or wherever for like $4. I'm going to watch this again very soon. But this is the one movie I think that I saw this year that I can safely say just blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
And I really need to see it again. This movie's fantastic, and I think very accessible if somebody wants to check out like a foreign movie and you don't watch a lot of foreign movies. Like it's a road trip movie with a family.
Yeah.
And it just happens to be in Iran.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little dark. I think both we've mentioned 2 foreign movies so far. Well, 3 actually with RRR, but Petite Maman and Hit the Road are both, I think, very accessible foreign movies that I will probably get nominations come awards time. Fingers crossed. They better be submitted by those countries for best foreign movie. I think both, if you check out either of those, you're gonna have a good time.
Totally agree.
Nice. Yeah. Last night, I wanted to watch a couple more movies before we did this list, and I was deciding between Petite Maman and Hit the Road. And I
you
brought
had
up
seen Portrait of a Lady on Fire before, and you knew Celine Sciamma.
Well, actually, no. So I brought up Petite Maman first, and I hit like, okay, like I'm gonna like rent this, and I hit the button, and it was like, are you sure? And then I was like, well, I should check my phone and read about what Hit the Road is about. And I was like, ooh, like I think I actually might be more in the mood for that. Like, great. And then I grabbed my controller and I hit the wrong button and I bought Petite Maman. And I was like, all right. Well, I rented it, right? You know, I paid for it. So then like I hit the button and I paid $6 for it. And I was like, well, I guess this is actually what I'm watching.
Here we are.
So I came that close to watching Hit the Road last night.
Is that maybe part of the reason why Petite Maman didn't quite reach those levels for you?
You're a little just disappointed you were watching.
I got other reasons. But no, I will be seeing this for sure. Maybe even tonight, even though it won't be able to, you know, make the list. I do want to see this. And now that you have it as your number one, I feel like I definitely need to check it out.
It's also pretty short. It's an hour and a half. So it's
93 minutes.
Again, very accessible in that way. You're not breaking off engagements to check out a 3-hour film. So
all right. And last but not least, it comes to me for my number one movie of the year, and that is Nope, from director Jordan Peele.
Oh,
yep. Okay. Welcome everybody to the hill that I am willing to die on. It's a nice, lovely hill, a lot of green grass. That was actually an alternate title for Nope, was The Hill That Dylan Will Die on his podcast. But they shelved that because that wasn't as palatable to audiences. So I saw this again. I drove down to shout out to my Aunt Rondi because she lives in Duluth and she saw this twice. And the second time she saw it in IMAX. And she texted me and said, I was blown away. I didn't even really like it the first time, but when I saw it in IMAX, I was blown away. I felt like that's how it was meant to be seen. You should see it on the biggest screen you can. So the closest IMAX to the cities is like Rochester, or at least the one that was showing Nope. The closest IMAX that was actually showing Nope. I wasn't going to do that. So I drove all the way down to Shakopee and saw it in Ultra Screen DX, which is still a pretty big screen, awesome Dolby surround sound. And I just had such a good theater experience. I just once again, like, I mean, visually I was blown away, but thematically, now that I kind of know more and thought more about what it's about, I just, the second time, like way more things were clicking into place. Like it felt like everywhere. Like it felt like I had the key to the whole like thing. And it was just like, oh, like the opening credits and like why the chapters are named what they are. And like certain characters, like conversations and like decision making. And then something that I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to give away spoilers, but there's another thing that's totally like, oh, of course. Mostly it's just, this movie it's a big spectacle about how we are just obsessed with spectacles, specifically like violent spectacle. And it's a commentary on the people that put on those spectacles, the exploitation for profit, and then also the audience, the trauma, whether it's not like, you know, either it's like a slow building trauma or like all at once that we experience watching these spectacles, and just how that kind of creates like a cycle. And I just feel like that actually applies to like a lot of things in our society, not just like movies and entertainment, but also like sports, like football, UFC, and even just like politics, the tribalism, and also even like, you know, mass shootings and like our kind of like the way that this country looks at like war and the way that we kind of glorify a lot of war and conquests in the past. I think it is a lot smarter than I gave it credit for. And while I still will totally admit that like the characters are not as deep and it's not as character driven as Get Out or Us was, I still think from the social commentary side and just like the point that it's trying to make and how everything just like once you look at it through that lens, it's just like scene after scene after scene. There's details and little hints, and it's just like, oh yeah, like I just felt like I understood it more. I understood the Gordy stuff more. I mean, it's really just about how we cannot look away from those things, and how maybe the reason why we can't look away is because when we look at those things, we're actually looking at ourselves. Oh, mic drop. I'm just saying, there's a reason why Gordy is a chimpanzee, a primate, and not a different type of animal. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. That adds some clarity to what I thought about it, like for sure. So that now I do need to go see it again.
I mean, I was gonna say it pains me because I know that both of you guys gave it a 2.5, and I fear that neither one of you will ever watch it again, and that makes me sad.
I'll see this again.
I can see Adam watching it again, I guess, but knowing you, Nate, there's so many movies out there, and I'm worried that you're just never gonna give it another 2 hours.
He's on the hunt for the next hit the road. That's what it is.
It saddens me deeply, but it's okay. I understand, but yeah, no. So I had it a 4 after I saw it again on the really big screen, just awesome theater. Like it brought it up to a 4.5. Maybe I'm still riding the high of seeing it that way. Maybe when it comes out on streaming or whatever, see it on a smaller screen, that'll kind of bring it a little back down. But for me right now, definitely my favorite movie of the year, favorite theater experience. Like I don't know. I'm a fanboy, and I'm willing to just say that both of you are wrong about it, and I'm gonna just die on that hill, and that's okay. And the last thing I'm gonna say is, Adam, you gave this a 2.5, and what did you give The Gray Man?
I think I gave it a 2.
That's just wrong, Adam. It's not right. It's not right.
I have The Gray.
Put some respect on Jordan Peele's name, Adam. This movie is not a half star better than The Gray Man. I'm sorry. It's just, oh God. But I'm gonna bring you around to that. But just visually insane. And also I feel like in a lot of ways it was like tailor made for like, I'm a huge horror sci-fi, and this was just like Jordan Peele's big bombastic take on that. And so like it would have been really hard for me not to like this movie, but the more I think about it, the more I read about it, and then seeing it again just brought it way up. So Nope is my favorite movie of the year so far.
Awesome.
Right. I mean, to combat that, I'm pretty sure my reason for giving it a 2.5 was I was disappointed that it wasn't like a bigger thing. And that just means I didn't understand it.
I get it. And, Jordan Peele, it's the burden of success, right? When you have two really smart, brilliant movies.
When your leadoff hitter is Get Out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like I get it. I understand. But yeah, no. So 4.5 and my favorite movie of the year so far. And then should we get to some honorable mentions?
Yeah, I just had a couple I wanted to mention. Some of these have already been mentioned here, like RRR and Cha Cha Real Smooth. I did want to mention Official Competition, a really great Spanish comedy. Happening, just gut-wrenching movie about what it was like to live when abortion was illegal in the 60s in France.
Oh, yeah.
And then big shout out to my favorite director, Richard Linklater. Apollo 10.5 was my number 6.
I was wondering if that was
movie.
Make the top
and
5
that's sitting right on Netflix. I had Fallout, Outfit, and Apollo 10.5 were my contenders for 4 and 5. Okay. And I just Apollo 10.5 right on the outside, just because I feel like I talk about so many Richard Linklater movies here, and the other two just wanted to draw attention to those two as well. But Apollo 10.5 is great, and it's on Netflix right now, so go check that out.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, my honorable mention was basically just be The Batman, which almost got that 5 spot. I also did have The Outfit pretty high as well. But and then I have a bunch of 3.5s after that, which I did mention on our most recent review. Bodies is the highest ranked of the 3.5s.
That's my lowest 4. So
okay,
we're very close in that.
Okay,
in that regard.
I had some not as good movies, but I saw a lot less. My at least what people I think would regard them as not as good. My honorable mentions were Hustle. The Adam Sandler
that was one of mine.
A lot of people really like that movie.
Yes. I really liked it. I thought that was great. Too. There was a lot to love about it.
I knew there was one I was forgetting, and I don't have my phone on me, so I couldn't check. I was like, "What's the other one?" Yes, Hustle. Yep. Yeah, that was I think
Hustle.
7 or 8.
And then I know I liked this a lot more than you guys did. Not that I liked it a ton, but I had Doctor Strange.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
As an
There you
I'm
go.
glad you liked it.
Yeah.
I wish I connected to just like one of these Marvel movies more than I did.
Yeah.
But
I was a big
Mhm.
fan of like how truly dark Wanda's character goes and what happens
Yeah.
to her, and like I just thought that was fantastic. So,
Mhm.
great acting for sure.
yeah, definitely from her. So, and I also saw. Well, I won't get to that. Those are my honorable mentions.
Nice.
All right.
So that wraps it up. Do we
Excellent.
want to go through and list them all quick? Each person
Just
do
real
their
quick. Yeah,
top
just
five?
read them. We'll just go one at a time. Nate, you can go first.
Yeah, so my top 5 were The Outfit at 5, The Fallout at 4, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On at 3, Petite Maman at 2, and Hit the Road at number 1.
Yes, and I had Cha Cha Real Smooth at number 5, RRR at number 4, Top Gun Maverick at number 3, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On at number 2, and Nope as number 1.
And I had Everything Everywhere All at Once at number 5, The Batman at number 4, Petite Maman at number 3, Top Gun Maverick at 2, and Marcel the Shell with Shoes On at number 1.
We had a nice mix.
We did.
Yeah, and I think it'll definitely be interesting, like we say every year when we do this, to see which one of these can hold on and last
And make it to the top 10 of the
and
full
make it
year.
to the top
Yeah.
10. Yeah, there's definitely
Yeah.
some big movies coming down here that'll definitely challenge it for that, but it'll be interesting to see. All right. Is it my turn to put a wrap on the show?
It is.
All right. Waiting for an opportunity and knowing it's the right one isn't so easy. You guys are wrong about Nope.